Will be doing my presentation on Lord Byron today. Lord Byron. Lord Byron, born George Gordon Byron on the 22nd of January 1788, was one of the most influential poets of his time and was the leader of the Romantic movement. His life was full of passion, adventure, scandal, and a desire for freedom, not only in his own life, but also in his poetry. He is known as one of the renowned names in literary history. He was also known for his emotionally charged and powerful poetry, his rebelliousness, and his creation of the Byronic hero. Born into a family of aristocrats, he still faced problems at home. His father, Jack Byron, was notorious for his reckless behavior and poor financial management. These actions would lead the family into debt before he died in 1791. Lord Byron's father would abandon the family when Lord Byron was 3 years old. His mother, Catherine Gordon, was a Scottish heiress whose wild temperament dominated Lord Byron's early life. Despite being from a noble family, due to Lord Byron's father's actions, the family faced financial difficulties and feelings of loss and insecurity throughout his formative years. By the time Lord Byron was 10 years old, he would inherit the title of Lord following the death of his great uncle. This would be able to provide Lord Byron with access to a higher quality of education and social status. However, he would still be considered an outsider due to his disability, as he was born with a club foot. This would leave him as an insecure person, and it helped drive him to prove himself, as he attended several prestigious schools such as Harrow and Cambridge University. It was in these schools that he would become known for being charming, witty, and rebellious. He would begin writing poetry at this time, drawing ideas from his travels and first-hand experience. Literary breakthrough would come from one of his works, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, in 1812. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is a long narrative poem in 4 cantos written by Lord Byron. It was published between 1812 and 1818. This poem follows the reflections and travels of a young English nobleman, Childe Harold, who has become disillusioned with his life of pleasure and seeks solace and distraction in foreign lands. Childe Harold is shown as a world-weary and sad figure seeking an escape from a life of decadence. He would embody the Byronic hero archetype, a rebellious, passionate, and often brooding individual. This poem would function as a poetic travelogue describing Childe Harold's journeys through several European countries. These countries would include Portugal, Spain, Albania, Greece, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. However, it is not only a descriptive account of his travels. Lord Byron uses Harold's observations to reflect on historical events, political situations, art, culture, and the human condition. One of the central themes of the poem is Harold's profound disillusionment with society and the emptiness of a life devoted to pleasure. The poem expresses a sense of melancholy and a yearning for something more meaningful. Throughout his travels, Harold encounters the remnants of past glories and witnesses contemporary struggles. Lord Byron uses these to comment on the Napoleonic Wars, the decline of empires, the beauty of ancient civilizations, and the state of Europe at the time. For example, he laments on the occupation of Greece by the Ottoman Turks, and he reflects on the Battle of Waterloo. In the later cantos, particularly in Canto number 4, the line between the fictional Childe Harold and Lord Byron himself becomes blurred. Lord Byron increasingly speaks in his own voice, sharing his personal reflections and emotions about the places he visits. This poem would become immensely popular and significantly influence the Romantic movement. It contributed to the fascination with travel, the cult of the individual, and the expression of intense emotions in literature. This poem would also popularize the figure of the Byronic hero, a character type that resonated with readers and influenced subsequent literary creations. In essence, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is a poetic exploration of a restless soul seeking meaning in a world marked by both beauty and decay. It is a blend of travel writing, personal reflection, and commentary on the historical and cultural landscape of early 19th century Europe. This poem would become a bestseller and make Lord Byron a celebrity. His looks, aristocratic birth, and image will only increase his charm, being one of the first poets to achieve rock star like status. One of the most typical features of Lord Byron's work was the creation of the Byronic hero. This kind of character, a dark, brooding, hot headed man with a tormented history, would become a stock figure in popular culture and literature. This character often exhibited signs of rebellion, intelligence, and intense inner conflict. This kind of character would appear in much of Lord Byron's work, such as The Corsair, 1814, Manfred, 1817, and Don Juan, 1819 to 1824. He would not only be a fictional character, but a projection of Byron himself. His poems would address such topics as freedom, nature, love, and exile. Another one of his more popular poems is She Walks in Beauty, made in 1814. This poem is a short lyric poem that celebrates the captivating beauty of a woman. This poem focuses on not only her physical appearance, but also on the harmony between her outward grace and inner purity. The speaker is struck by the woman's beauty, which she compares to the serene beauty of a starlit night, emphasizing its gentle radiance rather than a gaudy, overwhelming brightness. He notes the perfect balance of light and shade in her features, suggesting a delicate and harmonious complexion. Beyond her physical allure, the poem delves into the idea that her beauty is a reflection of her inner goodness. The speaker sees a mind at peace and a heart whose love is innocent expressed in her countenance. This suggests that her external beauty is intertwined with her virtuous and tranquil nature. The poem implies that true beauty is not merely superficial, but stems from an inner serenity and moral purity, creating a harmonious and captivating whole. However, his own life was as stormy as his poetry. He had numerous love affairs and scandals, and he was rumored to have had an affair with his half sister, Augusta Lee, which would become a scandal that would outrage the public. He would be wedded to Annabella Milbank, which would not be a marriage of bliss that would lead to estrangement and further sully his reputation. Due to increased criticism and scandals, he would leave England in 1816 and never return to England again. His exile, however, would not abate his creativity. He would travel everywhere across the European continent and would live for a time in Switzerland. During his time in Switzerland, he would get close to the poet Percy Shelley and Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. This would be a productive period for Lord Byron, as he would write Manfred. Manfred is a dramatic poem about a tormented nobleman named Manfred who lives in the Swiss Alps. Haunted by a secret guilt over a past tragic event, Manfred seeks to escape his agonizing memories and find oblivion. The poem opens with Manfred summoning the spirits from the natural world, hoping they can grant him forgetfulness. These spirits, representing elements like air, earth, and ocean, appear but cannot fulfill his ultimate desire. He then encounters a chamois butler, hunter, and later seeks solace in the company of an abbot who tries to guide him towards religious redemption. However, Manfred remains defiant and unwilling to confess or repent in the conventional sense. The central conflict is Manfred's internal struggle with his overwhelming guilt and his desperate search for release. He yearns for death as a final escape from his tormenting memories. The poem explores themes of guilt, remorse, the limitations of human power, the search for redemption, and the power of the individual will in the face and, in the face of fate and supernatural forces. Ultimately, Manfred dies in a defiant and solitary manner, refusing the abbot's final attempts at absolution. His death signifies his unbroken spirit and his rejection of conventional religious or societal solutions to his profound inner turmoil. The poem leaves the reader with a sense of tragic grandeur of Manfred's character and the enduring power of his guilt and despair. Lord Byron would then leave Switzerland and move to Italy, where he would be exposed to the political and cultural activity of the country. He will live in Venice, Rome, Pisa, engage in numerous affairs, and kept writing. At this time, he wrote Don Juan. This poem is a long, unfinished satirical epic poem that playfully subverts the traditional legend of Don Juan the Libertine. Instead of a notorious seducer, Lord Byron's Don Juan is a more passive, innocent, and often naive young man who becomes entangled in a series of amorous and adventurous escapades across Europe. The poem follows Don Juan's life from his upbringing in Seville, where he has his first affair, to his forced departure and subsequent adventures. These include a shipwreck, being sold into slavery to the Sultan, becoming a favorite in the Sultan's harem, escaping to Russia, and becoming a hero in the war against the Turks, and eventually ending up in England, where he experiences aristocratic society and even a ghostly encounter. Unlike traditional tellings, Lord Byron's Don Juan does not focus on the protagonist as a manipulative womanizer. Instead, Juan is often the object of desire and is swept along by the circumstances and affections of various women. The poem is highly episodic and picturesque, meaning it unfolds a series of loosely connected adventures. A key characteristic of Don Juan is his satirical tone. Lord Byron uses the poem as a vehicle for witty social commentary, sharply criticizing hypocrisy, aristocracy, politics, war, and societal norms of his time. He frequently breaks the fourth wall, addressing the reader directly and offering his own opinions and digressions on a wide range of topics. His conversational and often humorous style contributes significantly to the poem's unique character. The poem is written in octava rima, an 8-line stanza with a specific rhyme scheme, which allows for both narrative flow and opportunities for clever rhymes and satirical jabs. Although Lord Byron intended to write many more cantos, the poem remains unfinished upon his death. Nevertheless, Don Juan is considered a masterpiece of romantic literature for its humor, its insightful social critique, and its innovative approach to the epic form and the Don Juan myth. Regardless of his literary success, Lord Byron was not content with being a poet. He would be drawn to the causes of revolution and fight for freedom. Lord Byron departed Italy in 1823 to join the aid of the Greek War of Independence against the Ottoman Empire. Lord Byron would invest his fortune in assisting the Greek cause and was a key figure in organizing troops. Such activity would transition him from a poet to a national hero in Greece. However, his work would be cut short when he fell ill in 1824. His health would deteriorate rapidly, and he died on April 19th, 1824, at the early age of 36. He would be mourned across Europe and hailed as a hero of liberty and a literary giant. He would be buried in England, but it is said that his heart was left behind in Greece, which would symbolize the deep commitment to the cause that he felt. His influence was vast and profound. His work inspired other writers such as Edgar Allan Poe and Oscar Wilde. The Byronic hero ideal would continue to impact cinema, literature, and popular culture, from featuring figures such as Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights to antiheroes within modern day cinema. His ability to weave raw emotion, poetic adventure, and political commentary would earn him a place as one of the great poets of all time. Lord Byron's life captivates individuals to this day. His defiance of convention, his romantic entanglement, and his commitment to political and personal freedom make him one of history's greatest mysteries. He was a complex man, at once exceptionally talented and essentially imperfect. His poetry endures not only for its beauty, but also because it expresses the human struggles of rebellion, desire, and redemption. Lord Byron remains a Romantic era figure, a poet whose words continue to touch, irritate, and inspire readers down the ages. His legacy is not merely in what he produced, but in how he lived an existence of unyielding passion in the pursuit of beauty and freedom.